brand wars. This is nearly my favourite topic.
Yeah.
We have two brands going to war, trying to win share in a highly or hyper-competitive environment, which is superannuation. We have some work from Hesta. We have some work from Aware, and we're going to unpack both of these. Let's cut to the assets.
The science of advertising.
Don't tell me to go on a cruise or start salsa dancing. Don't tell me to get into gardening, to bake some cakes, go away and play golf. Don't tell me to get comfortable, take up a quiet hobby, start slowing down. Don't tell me how to retire, just help me do it.
The working life. You wake up, you work, you get paid. You wake up, you work, you get paid. Until one day, you wake up to a whole new rhythm and still get paid. Aware Super helps you find your rhythm of retirement. That's super helpful.
One of these brands is selling identification. The other is selling aspiration. They activate completely different parts of the brain. If you look at identification, it encodes harder. Aspiration travels further. Neither is wrong, but only one is right for the job. Mikey, who wins?
This was a really tough one because I loved Hesta because it felt so different for that category. It was edgy. It had, we were both out. I could see your leg moving to the bass. The bass soundtrack was just, it was totally something that, again, Sonar Music was behind that one. And it's original. It sounds like nothing else. It sounds so young, yet it's talking about retirement. I love that. I love the editing. I love the cuts. And then Aware Super, I felt like, again, I got this repetition of a storyline that I'm nearly at that age group, I guess, where these kind of issues are something we need to start thinking about. I love the repetition of you wake up, you go to thing, you do the thing, you wake up, you do the thing, and then it finishes and you're left. It's very Australian to me. That felt so Australian. The music, the editing, the cuts. Yep. That was really tough, but I'm going to go with Aware Super, because I felt like, again, it wrapped it up into a nice, it's got its colours, it's got its soundtrack at the end, but that was really tough. That was a tough one.
All right, so line ball, but Aware just gets it from your side.
Aware just gets it.
Andy?
I also found this one tough because watched Hesta and went, oh, this is already one for me. And then started watching Aware, and I've seen that Aware. I mean, I think the media strategy for Aware Super must be great because I'm early 50s and I'm seeing this out a lot. So clearly they've done their targeting really, really well. I love how Aware Super, I love how they have the logo top right, the whole ad.
Yeah.
And yet it doesn't feel intrusive. And that's a really big decision to make because it's beautifully shot. But it doesn't feel intrusive at all. That little moment, like you say, with the little ball things and suddenly the music just pauses for a second, love that too. I think the ad industry has been really slow to recognise that the next generation of retirees doesn't see themselves as being anything like the previous generation, right? Like, I'm moving towards that phase and I keep wondering, when's the day where I decide I want to buy a caravan and take up lawn bowls and start wearing tall socks and sandals?
Retire, Andy.
No, true.
We don't ever retire.
True, that's probably true. But I can't see myself being what the ad industry has told me a retiree looks like, right? I'm not doing the river cruise and all that sort of stuff. So what I love about both of these is that they recognise that, no, there's a new group coming through. I think Aware goes halfway there, but I think Hesta goes all the way there. I love the Hesta one. I love this idea that retirement doesn't have to look like river cruises and caravanning trips. You're going to still go mountain biking, you're going to play the drums, you're going to do all of this stuff. I think it's the ad for the next generation of retirees. And you think about it, the next generation of retirees, they're thinking about it 10 years ahead. right? And retirement now is different from what retirement used to look like. There's research that shows we're not just hitting that old-fashioned retirement cliff where it's like, all right, I pack up my desk one day and finally I've stopped. Most people who finish work, they transition out, right? Because they still want to have some engagement with some level of career, be it for financial reasons or even the identity reasons, right? We all identify with our roles as part of who we are. And that's very much showing up in the way that people transition out of work versus just retirement. To me, Hesta feels like it's just tapping into that kind of mindset a little bit more. So I agree, line ball, but Hesta wins for me.
Tagline wise, I agree with you too, Hesta. Don't tell me how to retire.
Yeah, just help me do it.
Well, just don't tell me. And that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
I don't want to be told.
Well, so you both like these assets?
I like both, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think they both promote retirement as a category rather than I'm a superannuation fund and here's why we're different and we're the choice out of what are a dozen brands?
You got to do a top of funnel exercise, right? You have to know that. I think you do.
Why?
Well, because this is, we've spoken about it with insurance. Superannuation, it's not something you think about until suddenly you're really thinking about it and you're going, oh, damn, I've only got a few years to get this right. So you need to try and convince me to be interested in the category. And you need to remind me that this is just down the road for me. So I've got to be thinking about it now. I'm not going to do the research in a 30-second ad. You've got to just get me hooked in so that then I'm going to do the research.
But it's like Hesta made me feel a little bit like, okay, I'm still cool and young.
Yeah.
It's not. The Aware one was beautifully done because it felt like it was very filmic in its editing, the fast cuts. That's very now, but I just feel like it's something that I'm so terrified of this idea of retiring because in my mind I don't play golf. I don't do any of the traditional things that were associated with that period of life. And kids are growing up and there's suddenly like, I feel like I'm at the beginning of my career in many ways. I just love every moment of it. But then these commercials come and I want to avoid them. But I know that looking at that one, I probably felt better about the Hesta one in terms of feeling like
this is a challenge I have with both. It's a category job they're doing. Whereas you're looking at the category entry point, like neither of you will move to either of these superannuation funds. Because there's no compelling reason to. Like, why would I choose Hesta? Because you're driving a category and you're pushing retirement as a category or super to be more thoughtful. So you're pushing them into the category, but then why would I choose Hesta? All you've done is push them into the category or review options, whereas there's no real compelling reason to choose Hesta. And Aware is exactly the same. If I actually look at both of these, they're great ads in terms of well produced, well shot, don't know the brief, but would I choose any of these? No. If I look at Hesta, great ad, but all the work has to be done at the end to try and recall Hesta. So it's quite forgettable. So again, vampire effect. Yeah. So that's the only reason I would choose Aware, because Aware is planted everywhere throughout the asset. It's very much a direct response or brand response strategy that even if I forget the ad, I have my logo on screen and I've had some output from it.
Yeah, can't the Affleck duck tell us what to do? Ooh. I would love the Affleck duck to say, retire, and I'm in.
But it's the big challenge with superannuation funds. Like they're spending a lot, but they're not owning category entry points. Yeah. And it's really hard to differentiate from one brand to another. Why would I choose Hesta compared to why would I choose Cbus?
Well, I hear what you're saying, but I also felt like Hesta was also bucking that trend and not just giving us the nice schmoopy, melancholy thoughts about life. It was actually saying, no, dye your hair green. The lighting looked a bit nightclubby in some parts. Go and do some crazy things because this life is short. So I felt I trusted that brand a bit more, and I love the message of someone who's on my side saying, don't tell me how to retire.
I think that's the strategy, right? It's like, hey, if you're the person that's not interested in the metrics, right? Because if you think about something like industry super funds and the way that they promote the storytelling that they have, which shows the difference in the size of the nest egg, that's interesting if you're metric focused. But if you're me, for example, it's like, just convince me that you get me, that you get how I might want to picture my retirement, and then maybe you hook me. But I think it's an incredibly difficult category to advertise for. I really do. Because
to build trust and to build,
even if you do, even if you build trust, even if you build that connection to actually get someone to take the next step, it's a huge ask.
Well, no one likes to move super funds.
No,
and most people don't.
Most
and you
people
don't
don't
even
think about it.
And like what you're both saying is it's a decision that you're still not actually actively managing and nurturing. And I reckon that is the majority of.
I think we're both saying we think this ad is better is better, but neither of them will work.
Well, it's just something we don't want to think about, like teeth.
But it is. But this is like the interesting. I always love category entry points. So when there's a brand job, so when I become in market for a particular product or service, what brands are on my shortlist? Because that's really what brand is. So when I enter the market, I'm like, oh, I'm familiar with that one and that one, so I'm probably more likely to choose that. And that's what brand is. So none of these are performance at all. They are all very brand. But like, what's the category entry point? So it's like, what are the moments you are likely to change super fund or look at potentially moving?
Yeah.
And there's two brands that have done this that aren't even advertising at all, but they are the two funds that are growing the fastest.
Right.
So it's HUB24 and Netwealth, and they're owning broker. So they're actually owning upstream.
Right.
And this is more tactical strategy, and they're owning broker because they are the trusted source. So they'll trust the broker and they've built platform around it. Whereas you go, what other category entry points could you own as a brand? And there might be two or three, whether you have a baby or some sort of a new changing job, or where you may consider this switching moment, but then why would I select that brand as well? So I think this is the challenge for superannuation, is they're all going really hard at brand, but it's all kind of the sea of sameness. Like none of them are actually going to get me to choose their fund.
Yeah, and
that's the biggest challenge.
From a creative point of view, the thing that I loved also about the Hesta ad is that, and I don't know their greater marketing plan, I didn't see any of the visuals and things that go with it in terms of outdoor and things like that. But I imagine that for someone like me who might be going to rock concerts, if there was suddenly in the program or in the waiting to go in line, it just said, don't tell me which band to listen to or don't tell me how to do that, I would start to kind of go, yeah, that's actually reaching me. And the tagline is continuing right through. Don't tell me about opera. Don't tell me how to surf.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because then when you start to think, well, what are those other assets and how could you actually use them to bring people in, right? And can you have QR codes? Can you do other things that actually, so that when I see that poster lining up, I go, yeah, I'll have a look at this, and then build something that's, again, I don't know what the back end of this looks like. How hard is it to change super funds? I just assume it's all way too hard. So if you do the work upstream in terms of what are the mechanisms that help the consumer that actually sees this and wants to take the next step, right? Then you start talking about something powerful, because outside of that, it's a really great ad.
It is. Like, they're great ads, but it's like, who do they actually own? And the superannuation has gone through big changes, because it used to be, I'm a teacher, I want to go to a teacher superannuation fund.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a trader, I'm in construction, I'm in that fund, because you've got tribes and cohorts. And this is really challenging now. So it's like, what tribe or cohort, or where is number three? The reason you've seen them everywhere is because their budget is phenomenally large. But they've also had a rebrand and they've had a few different brands, so they need to be very visible. So if I'm with them, I feel like I'm safe with them as well, and I don't switch out. So I think it's a really challenging category. But
do you think super can have the same disruption that something like, say, investing has had with platforms like Stake, where it's democratized the idea of share investment, right?
I think this is the opportunity, and this is where I go, they're very brand emotional but soft.
Yeah.
Whereas I look at car sales, and this is where I love brands that like innovate and give me something to talk about that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that's the challenge. Aware and Hesta, there's nothing sort of interesting going on. So it's like, we just need to make a brand ad that feels good, that hopefully we can move some people through and they'll like us and trust us more.
But then if you took that approach and simplified and tried to be real and simple and laid back and everything, then we'd kind of go, oh, well, that's not enough for me. I deserve a bit more. I need some bells and whistles too. If they took that very simple, say just using AHM because we talked about it in the last episode, but that's sort of linear, very simple, down to earth. I'm going to be on your side. I'm human. If a retirement fund took that approach, would we trust it?
See, this is interesting. I'm going to go back to like Athena Home Loans, who we worked with, which was really interesting. Home loans, incredibly challenging, hyper competitive. So what did they do? I love promise proof. And most brands have promise, but no evidence that that promise is true. So it's like, oh, you feel like me, but where's the evidence to show that that is actually true? Whereas Athena's like, we can help you pay off your home loans faster. So that was their promise. But like how? Rate was one, but then they created the automatic rat drop, but also accelerates. And this was kind of really cool. So the more you pay off your home loan, the lower you can actually drop your own rate by paying it off more. That was new to market, new product that no one else had. So it's like, we're going to help you pay off your home loan faster, better rates, but we've also got accelerates. The more you pay off, the lower the rate. You can actually drop your own rate. So there's something interesting to talk about that's not just promise, there's evidence that it's true. And that's kind of like the car sales work.
Yeah.
I wonder if Hesta could learn a little bit from the way we approach retail advertising, which is that typically you will do for a big retailer, a big brand execution, and it'll just be, let's say 30-second BVOD TV. And what you do then is you turn that into retail donuts, right? So you'll have an element from the big brand execution, and then you'll combine that with the line and the price, let's call it the educational component of it. And I wonder if brands like Hesta and Aware could benefit from extending their campaigns in those sorts of ways, right? We talk a lot about this idea of shoot once, use many. So it's like, okay, we've shot all of the footage for Aware Super. We've got all that beautiful footage. We've got high levels of frequency in terms of our target market. So now where's the 15 where we see that person that's doing the yoga, and then we see her on the app and this is how you join. This is the growth you can see. These are the reasons why, right? And I think that's partly your point, is that it's just a nice piece, but it needs some other things, I think, around it to give me the reason why.
And I think this is the interesting thing with the category. I think if you look at super, it's financial, so it's incredibly highly governed and no one wants to make a mistake. So there's no CMO out there that actually wants to be too bold, because if they're too bold, they get their knuckles wrapped and they're potentially out of a job. So you've got to play it safe. And this is where I think it's like good work, it's safe work, but it's not going to be this major delta that really pushes it forward.
And also marketing 101, what's in it for me? What's in it for the consumer? And both of those, now thinking about it with a bit of space and listening to you both had beautiful imagery, both made me feel something. But again, as mercenary, as capitalist, as selfish as it sounds, when I retire, I want to know that everything's going to grow. I'd rather see something growing than to go, selfishly, I want that.